Dear friends, Jai Bhim, Namo Buddhaya. Today I am going to tell you about the idea of God and the concept of God in Buddhism. But this is not an exhaustive idea because what I have read and what I have also heard in other videos of Sri K. Dhammanad ji and Bhante Punne ji that the idea of God is there in Buddhism. It is not that the idea of God is not there in Buddhism, but what is your idea? See, idea of God doesn't mean God. It means the idea of God, the way you look at the things, the way you look at the God. So I am reading this from this book, What Buddhists Believe, and Buddhism as a religion. Both of these books are written by K. Sri Dhammanad ji. So let us listen what he says. The God idea. The reality or validity of belief in God is based on man's understanding, capacity, and the maturity of the mind. See, this you should understand that what he is saying, the reality or validity. Reality or validity. So, whether it is real and also valid, or it is only real or not valid, or whether it is valid and not real. This means this what means reality or validity. So reality or validity of belief in God is based on man's understanding capacity. So it is also based on man's understanding capacity and maturity of mind. So let us read this. The development of the God idea. To trace the origin and development of the God idea, one must go back to the time when civilization was still in its infancy and modern science was still unknown. Primitive people, out of fear of and admiration toward natural phenomena, had believed in different spirits and gods. They used their belief in spirits and gods to form religions of their own according to their respective circumstances and understanding capacity. Different people worshipped different gods and founded different faiths. At the beginning of the God idea, people worshipped many gods, gods of trees, streams, lightning, storm, winds, the sun, and all the other terrestrial phenomena. These gods were related to each and every act of nature. Then gradually man began to attribute to these gods sex and form as well as the physical and mental characteristics of human beings. Human attributes were given to the gods: love, hate, jealousy, fear, pride, envy, and other emotions found among human beings. From all these gods, there slowly grew a realization that the phenomena of the universe were not many but were one. This understanding gave rise to the monotheistic God of recent ages. In the process of development, the God idea went through a variety of changing social and intellectual climates. It was regarded by different men in different ways. Some idealized God as the king of heaven and earth. They had a conception of God as a person. Others thought of God as an abstract principle. Some raised the ideal of supreme deity to the highest heaven, while others brought it down to the lowest depths of the earth. Some pictured God in a paradise, while others made an idol and worshipped it. Some went so far as to say that there is no salvation without God. No matter how much God you do, no matter how much good you do, you will not receive the fruits of your actions unless you act out of a faith in God. The atheists said no and went on to affirm that God did not really exist at all. The skeptics or agnostics said, we do not know, we do not or we cannot know. The positivists say that the God idea was a meaningless problem since the idea of the term God was not clear. Thus, there grew a variety of ideas and beliefs and names for the God idea: pantheism, idolatry, belief in a formless God, and belief in many gods and goddesses. Even the monotheistic God of recent times has gone through a variety of changes as it passed through different nations and people. The Hindu God is quite different from the Christian God. The Christian God is again different from gods of other faiths. Thus, numerous religions came into existence. Each one differed greatly from the other in the end, and each one says that God is one. The God idea and creation. As each religion came into existence and development around the God idea, the religion developed its own particular explanation of creation. Thus, the God idea became associated with various myths. People used the God idea as a vehicle for their explanations of the existence of man and the nature of the universe. Today, intelligent men who have carefully reviewed all the available facts have come to the conclusion that, like the God idea, the creation of myths must be regarded as an evolution of the man imagination of the human as an evolution of the human imagination, which began with the misunderstanding of the phenomena of nature. These misunderstandings were rooted in the fear and ignorance of primitive man. Even today, man still retains his primitive interpretations of creation. In the light of recent scientific thinking, the theological definition of God is vague and hence has no place in the contemporary creation theories or myths. If man is created by an external source, then he must belong to that source and not to himself. According to Buddhism, man is responsible for everything he does. The Buddhists have no reason to believe that man came into existence in the human form through any external sources. They believe that man is here today because of his own action. He is neither punished nor rewarded by anyone but himself according to his own good and bad action. In the process of evolution, the human being came into existence. However, there are no Buddhist words to support the belief that the world was created by anybody. The scientific discovery of gradual development of the world system conforms with the Buddhist teachings. Human weakness and the concept of God. Both the concept of God and its associated creation myths have been protected and defended by believers who need these ideas to justify their existence and usefulness to human society. All the believers claim to have received their respective scriptures as revelation. In other words, they all profess to come directly from the one God. Each God religion claims that it stands for universal peace and universal brotherhood and other such high ideals. However great the ideals of the religions might be, the history of the world shows that the religions up to the present day have also helped in spreading superstitions. Some have stood against science and the advancement of knowledge, leading to ill feelings, murders, and wars. In this respect, the God religions have failed in their attempt to enlighten mankind. For example, in certain countries, when people pray for mercy, their hands are stained with the blood of the morbid sacrifices of innocent animals and sometimes even fellow human beings. These poor and helpless creatures were slaughtered at the desecrated altars of imaginary and imperceptible gods. It has taken a long time for people to understand the futility of such cruel practices in the name of religion. The time has come for them to realize that the path of real purification is through love and understanding. Dr. G. Dharmshastri, in his book Buddhist Critique of the Christian Concept of God, has mentioned, I see that though the notion of God contains sublime moral strands, it also has certain implications that are extremely dangerous to the human as well as to the other beings on this planet. One major threat to humanity is the blindfold called authority, imposed on the humans by the concept of God. All theistic religions consider authority as ultimate and sacred. It was this danger that the Buddha was pointing at in the Kalam Sutra. At the moment, human individuality and freedom are seriously threatened by various forms of authorities. Various authorities have been trying to make you a follower. On top of all our traditional authorities, a new form of authority has emerged in the name of science. And lastly, the mushrooming new religions and the menace of the gurus, as typified by Jim Jones, have become live threats to the individual's human freedom and dignity. The Buddha's eternal plea is for you to become a Buddha, and he showed in a clearly rational way that each and every one of us has the perfect potentiality and capacity to attain the ideal. God religions offer no salvation without God. Thus, a man might conceivably have climbed to the highest pinnacle of virtue, and he might have led a righteous way of life, and he might even have climbed to the highest level of holiness, yet he is to be condemned to eternal hell just because he did not believe in the existence of God. On the other hand, a man might have sinned deeply, and yet, having made a late repentance, he can be forgiven and therefore saved. From the Buddhist point of view, there is no justification in this kind of doctrine. Despite the apparent contradictions of the God religions, it is not deemed advisable to preach a godless doctrine, since the belief in God has also done a tremendous service to mankind, especially in places where the God concept is desirable. This belief in God has helped mankind to control his animal nature, and much help has been granted to others in the name of God. At the same time, man feels insecure without the belief in God. He finds protection and inspiration when that belief is in his mind. The reality or validity of such a belief is based on man's understanding capacity and spiritual maturity. However, religion should also concern our practical life. It is to be used as a guide to regulate our conduct in the world. Religion tells us what to do and what not to do. If we do not follow a religion sincerely, mere religious labels or belief in God do not serve us in our daily life. On the other hand, if the followers of various religions are going to quarrel and to condemn other beliefs and practices, especially to prove or disprove the existence of God, And if they are going to harbor anger towards other religions because of their different religious views, then they are creating enormous disharmony amongst the various religious communities. Whatever religious differences we have, it is our duty to practice tolerance, patience, and understanding. It is our duty to respect the other man's religious belief even if we cannot accommodate it. Tolerance is necessary for the sake of harmonious and peaceful living. However, it does not serve any purpose to introduce this concept of God to those who are not ready to accept it, to appreciate it. To some people, this belief is not important to lead a righteous life. There are many who lead a noble life without such belief, while amongst believers there are many who violate the peace and happiness of innocent people. Buddhists can also cooperate with those who hold this concept of God. If they use this concept for the peace, happiness, and welfare of mankind, but not with those who abuse this concept by threatening people in order to introduce this belief just for their own benefit and with ulterior motives. For more than 2500 years, all over the world, Buddhists have practiced and introduced Buddhism very peacefully without the necessity of sustaining the concept of a creator God. And they will continue to sustain their religion in the same manner without disturbing the followers of other religions. Therefore, with due respect to other religionists, it must be mentioned that any attempt to introduce this concept into Buddhism is unnecessary. Let Buddhists maintain their belief since it is harmless to others, and let the basic teachings of the Buddha remain. From time immemorial, Buddhists have led a peaceful religious life without incorporating the particular concept of God. They should be capable of sustaining their particular religion without the necessity at this juncture of someone trying to force something down their throats against their will, having full confidence in their Buddhism. Buddhists should be permitted to work and seek their own salvation without any undue interference from other sources. Others can uphold their beliefs and concepts. Buddhists will uphold theirs without any rancor. We do not challenge others in regard to their religious persuasions. We expect reciprocal treatment in regard to our own beliefs and practices. Let us see what K. Dhammanad has written, that is Buddhism atheistic? Atheism is associated with a materialistic doctrine that knows nothing higher than this world. The Buddha has condemned godlessness, by which he meant the denial of worship and renunciation, the denial of moral and social obligations, and the denial of a religious life. He recognized most emphatically the existence of moral and spiritual values. He acclaimed the supremacy of the moral law. Only in one sense can Buddhism be described as atheistic, namely, insofar as it denies the existence of an eternal omnipotent God or Godhead who is the creator or the ordinaire of the world. The word atheism, however, frequently carries a number of disparaging overtones or implications which are in one way applicable to the Buddha's teachings. Those who use the word atheism often associate it with a materialistic doctrine that knows nothing higher than this world of the sense and the slight happiness it can bestow. Buddhism advocates nothing of that sort. There is no justification for branding Buddhists as atheists, nihilists, pagans, heathens, or communists just because they do not believe in a creator God. The Buddhist concept of God is different. See this thing. The Buddhist concept of God is different from that of other religions. So he is not saying that Buddhists do not believe in God. We do believe in God. The Buddhists believe in God, but the concept of God is different. Difference in belief do not justify name calling and slanderous words. Buddhism agrees with other religions that true and lasting happiness cannot be found in this material world. The Buddha adds that true and lasting happiness cannot be found on the higher or supermundane plane of existence to which the name of heavenly or divine world is given. While the spiritual values advocated by Buddhism are oriented to a state transcending the world with the attainment of Nibbana or Nirvana, they do not make a separation between the beyond and here and now. They have firm roots in the world itself, for they aim at the highest realization in this present existence. I would repeat this thing again. While the spiritual values advocated by the Buddhism are orientated to a state transcending the world with the attainment of Nibbana or Nirvana, they do not make a separation between the beyond and the here and now. They have firm roots in the world itself, for they aim at the highest realization in this present existence. Let us see what he has written in his another book. The concept of God. Some people say that it is difficult to believe that any God created religion. Perhaps we could say that man created religion and later introduced the concept of God into religion. An American philosopher, Professor Whitehead, once stated that originally man created God and later God created man. What he meant was that the concept of God was created by man and later this concept was transformed into divinity. On the other hand, a French philosopher, Anatole France, said that if the concept of God did not exist, somehow or other, man would have created one because it is very important for his psyche. A divine power is necessary to allay our innate fear, suspicion, worries, disturbances, anxiety, craving. To avoid problems, we depend on an external force to give us solace. Knowing the nature of the human mind, therefore, Anatole France said, if a God did not exist, we would have to create one. In this sense, we are just like children. When a small baby is crying and the mother is too busy to carry it, what she does is to put a teat in its mouth to comfort it. That will stop the baby from crying. The concept of God helps many people in this manner to stop their worries and dry their tears. They develop into various pacifiers in the form of religious beliefs and practices. This ends here. So he did not deny that there is no concept of God in Buddhism. The concept is only different. How it is different? It is different. In many religions it is said that God has created everything. But Buddhists do not believe that there is a one particular entity who has created the whole universe, because he has said that the universe is very vast. So it is not that some one particular person, and we have already seen in the other videos. You can go through other videos and you can find that he has also said that Buddha did not deny the existence of devas. Buddha did not deny the existence of other spirits. He accepted those. So many people do take devs or deities as their god. They can take. It is not. But also Buddha also says that that is not the ultimate thing. This is not my moral conduct. This kind of deity worshipping is not what I am telling you. It is not my moral conduct. You should follow the path which is shown by me. This is what Buddha is saying. And then you reach an enlightenment. You become an awakened one, a Buddha one. That is what Buddha is saying. He is not denying that there are no deities, there are no devs. He is not denying that there are no spirits. He is neither denying that there are no miracles. What K. Dhammanad ji has written here, that the concept of God is different in Buddhism. It does not mean that there is no God in Buddhism. It doesn't mean that even Buddhism, you can say, has the real a Buddhist God is the real God. In his speech he said that Buddhist God is the real God, because it is the Buddhist God that teaches the man to become a moral person, that teaches the man to purify his mind, to do good deeds. So I would end this here and I will continue in other videos. Thank you very much. Jai Bhim. Namo Buddhaya.